An epic collapse for the Boston Celtics and an overtime loss to the Brooklyn Nets here at TD Garden on Tuesday night. I'm Sierra Goodwill here with Mike Petraglia and Josue Pavon. Guys, what happened in this game? The Celtics were up by as much as 21 points in the second half, and then a foul on Levert with 1.4 seconds left. He drains all three. It was a foul behind the three-point line. He drains all three free throws, and then they dominate in overtime. Was this the worst loss of the Celtics season so
No
far?
question. It was the worst loss
sure.
of the season. Even players after the game were talking about it, referring to it as the worst loss of the season. Kemba Walker saying it's pretty disappointing. It's the most disappointing loss of the season. But the most telling comment was from Brad Stevens, I thought, after the game. He said several times it was ridiculous, meaning the Celtics' effort, their inability to close the door. They made silly mistakes. Their defense, 51 points in the fourth quarter. That's inexcusable on your home court. Yeah. To quote the man who was courtside, you cannot be serious. John McEnroe sitting next to Wyc Grousbeck as the Celtics collapsed. 17-point lead in the fourth quarter. The Celtics did so many things fundamentally wrong, including the Marcus Smart foul, which, you know, that's debatable. Marcus Smart, kind of lost his cool with the officials going off the court, but you can't foul in that particular situation.
You know, Trags, that quote stands out to you. To me, the quote that stands out was when Brad Stevens was asked, who's going to make the trip to Cleveland? He said, you know what, 8, 9 guys who could actually play hard and put forth the effort that we should have saw Tuesday night here at TD Garden. That's what it really came down to. I just feel like obviously Levert was the biggest factor in this one, but when it came down to the Celtics end, it was down to effort. On the defensive end, they had more than enough bodies to close out that game. They had more of a good enough cushion to close out that game. So you can't really point at the injuries and say that these were distractions or factors into them, losing this or losing that huge advantage. You have to close out, especially when you're going into the fourth quarter and you have a double-digit lead like that. It was just inexcusable in my opinion.
We do need to talk about those injuries though, because the group that was out on the court for the Celtics in overtime was laughable almost. I mean, 5 of their
It resembled a
main
preseason
stars.
game.
Exactly. So we knew Jayson Tatum was out pregame. We knew Kemba Walker was on a minutes restriction. He had hit that limit before the overtime, so he did not play. Steven said it wouldn't have been the right thing to do to put him in the game. Hayward left right after the halftime with a knee bruise, and then Jaylen Brown left with a hamstring tweak, and then Marcus Smart fouled out. I mean, you were playing with your summer league team. That is not to take away from the fact that the Celtics absolutely collapsed and coughed up this game, but how concerning is it, the fact that they're going to be scrounging at guys to get ready for this back-to-back?
Well, a couple of notes. Gordon Hayward said it's going to be okay. He doesn't think that it's a serious knee injury, so that's good news. And Jaylen Brown was spotted walking out the locker room, and, he was walking A-okay, but, you don't know until you get on the court and he's exploding off the right hamstring, whether or not it's good to go. They'll probably play it really cautious for good reason with him. But obviously, this is a situation where the Celtics are in an early March game. They're banged up, and they're going to have to make do with their bench somehow.
Yeah, you look at the rest of the guys who played a lot in this game. Carson Edwards, Grant Williams, this is their shot here. Romeo Langford, I think, is a bit of a wild card in my opinion. I'm looking for him to have a big game against the Cavaliers. I do think, obviously, the Celtics are talented enough to beat the Cavaliers, whether Kemba Walker, of course, isn't making the trip, is playing or not. But we have to see the effort. I mean, they have to treat this game like they're playing against the Rockets, like Saturday. That level of intensity, it should never go down just based on who you're facing or if you have a double-digit lead. I mean, a 20-point lead, that's no reason to let up. And if they do that in Cleveland, they could suffer another loss.
This Garden Report is brought to you by CarShield, America's #1 auto protection service. Call 800-CAR-6000 and mention code GARDEN, or go to carshield.com and use code GARDEN for 10% off. For all the rest of our Celtics content, head over to our website at clnsmedia.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel at CLNS Media.